drown. No, my love for you won't back down, yeah. And when we're old and gray, if there's no words to say, I will find a way to get us through, yeah. When the rain falls down, our love won't drown. No, my love for you won't back down. When we're old and gray, if there's no words to say, I will find a way to get us through. Yeah, I'll get us through. I'll get us through. Yeah, I'll get us through. I'll get us through.
The crowd was great, had great energy. Obviously, we are not ready, or we're not at the point where we can compete and play and have a chance to win against that team we played tonight. And that's my responsibility and my fault. I do believe in our group, and I've got to find a way to get more out of them. I mean, in all three phases of the game, played a good football team tonight, and we're not much match for them. So, questions?
Justin, coming off the open week, does this kind of effort surprise you from this team?
Well, I would say this. Our kids gave great effort, and they were ready to play. We've got to get better. We've got to get them better. We've got to get better as coaches and as a team, I mean, they had basically the same amount of time to prepare for us as we had for them. So I don't know the bye week or any of that stuff. I know, we've got a tremendous amount of work to get done.
Justin, it seemed like kind of a slugfest early on. Neither offense was doing anything. How much of a turning point maybe was that fumble and then the one play touchdown drive?
Well, that certainly was a big play. I mean, there were a lot of plays after that. So, I mean, that one play was big, that we turned the ball over and that they scored on the next play to create momentum. But it was a very tight ball game. Did that make it 7-3?
Yeah.
Or 7-3. So I don't think that was the end all be all. It certainly wasn't good, but there were a bunch of plays after that they handled us on both sides of the ball.
With Hendon going to him at that point early in the game before the fumble, the offense was struggling. Was it more about Willis looking out of sync? Was it more about the offense?
Well,
what did you see to make that change? At that point?
I mean, I would say that it's several factors. Just being 100% candid here, some of it was, some of it has been play based, right? Hendon has worked hard and deserved a chance to play. Ryan hasn't always been as consistent as we want. Both of them are dealing with health issues that, trying to split the time a little bit for those guys to maybe lessen the load a little bit was part of what we were trying to do.
And with Willis, I mean, I know you'll evaluate things this week, but are you confident if he's healthy, he can get this offense back on track? You mentioned he hasn't been consistent. What does he need to do to kind of turn a corner here to get this offense being productive?
Sure. I mean, this certainly doesn't need to fall on Ryan Willis, I can tell you that much. That's part of the position, just like being the head coach, being the quarterback. It's part of it. You get way too much praise when things go well. But, he and everybody else, we have numerous spots that have got to become more consistent contributors at this level, at a high level, playing against good people.
Just so I'm straight, so the plan was to use Hendon tonight coming in? Was it
Sure.
preordained that he was coming in that series?
No, it was not. I don't like saying this series because you never know what's going to happen, but we were going to play him early, yes.
And then on the exchange, is that on him or is that on Keyshawn?
That's on both of them. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell. Hendon felt like he had the ball in there. I don't have a replay of it. I don't, just talking to both of them, it's both of their responsibility to handle the exchange.
Questions? Back on, I think it was signing day, you kind of ran off a bunch of numbers about this offense and how you thought you had a real good thing going. Can you pinpoint where it's gone wrong here in the first 4 weeks? I mean, I know you can't put it on Willis, but do you get a sense of where you need to fix things or what kind of you look at and what's the next step?
Well, I mean, I would say that like any good offense, you have to have an identity, and we're struggling to find that identity. And we're inconsistent in the run game, and inconsistent, in the pass game. I mean, it's it's a culmination of all of those things that we have got to find a way to get a handle on.
As was noted earlier, it was very much a defensive slog early after Duke goes up 7-3. What happened to you defensively? Because those next couple drives were just surgical and just didn't seem like you guys had any chance.
Yeah, they hit us with a three-step game quite a bit, and then started to be able to run the ball. We tried to make some adjustments and did not handle those very well. We played have to look at the film and figure out exactly where, but we didn't handle adjustments very well.
Do you have anything else for Coach?
You bet.
Raise your hands, we'll get your microphones. Questions for Coach Foster. We'll start with you.
Bud, you guys looked like you were really controlling things in that first quarter. The fumble happens, they score in the next play, and then it kind of fell apart there. What did you see about how things turned so quickly?
Yeah, I just, I wrote down some things during the course of the game. Number one, with that, we didn't respond to adversity very well, and that's one thing that we've really talked about. It's hard to practice that, but we had some situations these last, couple weeks in the open date that we created some turnovers, able to get our guys off the field, but then turn around and put them back on the field. And all you're wanting to do when you put them back on the field is that next play, we need to make a stop, and that's the one way you can practice that. And I didn't think we handled that very well. You got to give Duke credit. They hit us on a couple gadget plays. We busted two gap. We're a gap control defense, and we busted two, on their two long running plays with the quarterback, and on the last one that popped, we lost leverage in our gaps, and that's disappointing. We were bad at times. We were good at times. We were bad at times, and I was probably even worse. And I know Coach probably came in here, and I know what he told the team and probably what he told you, but we'll roll our sleeves up and go back to work and go attack this thing. And where we got to be is we got to be consistently good. We've got to do it all the time. We've got to make sure we leverage our gap, or we're hitting in the proper gap, or we're playing proper leverage on the back end, doing those kind of things. Those are day one things that we've got to continue to do and do better. And it's disappointing as a coach that we've got to continue to harp on that, but that's what we got to do. We've got a lot of football left. I know we're disappointed right now. But it seemed like that turnover, and then how that next play just took the wind right out of everything, out of the energy in the stadium. It seemed like, that's kind of what I got out of that thing. But we came back out in the second half. We had an opportunity to make a stop. They got a couple first downs, but we did get a stop, and we couldn't get anything generated. And then we gave up a couple big plays there in the second half, and like I said, you can't give up explosive plays. You got to give them credit on the gadget play here and there. Obviously, they had the fake punt, was a big play off of a stop, and those are plays that will come back and haunt you, and they did. So that's kind of it in a nutshell when it's all said and done.
But Justin remarked that he didn't think the defense in particular adjusted very well to what Duke was doing, particularly with three-step stuff from Harris.
Yeah.
What was your view
Well,
of it?
I told our kids, the three-step stuff in today's football, don't get frustrated by that. That's going to win some battles, but that's not going to win the football game. That didn't win the football game. What won the football game was, us being undisciplined in explosive plays and two gap plays. You know what I mean? That's not adjustments. That's just basic stuff. Now, they can dink and dunk. That's just going to happen. They didn't get any explosive plays out of the empty stuff and that type of thing right there. But you can't get frustrated on that. The big thing you can't do though is have yards after the catch. And there was a couple of those that we missed a couple tackles on the perimeter, which are disappointing. But you eliminate those plays. Those pester you. but they shouldn't win a football game. You know what I mean? And that's we just got to make sure that you understand that and get them to where it's third down. We got to get off the field. We were 50. I think they were 50% on third down. We got to be better than that. You know, when it's all said and done.
With their tempo, how much did that hurt, just having to rotate? I mean, and you're very young, kind of in those second units. You know, how did that kind of impact you guys?
I don't know if it impacted us much. You know, we played a lot of people. I played a couple linebackers, you know, tonight too. I just those guys that did a great job in practice, and I needed to, you know, there needs to be some competition. I mean, I've got some really good players, but we've got some good backup kids that they're earning the right and opportunity, and that's not taking any continuity away from what we do. But there are some young guys that got to continue to play better and be consistently good. And you know, I'm talking to some of those young guys up front. I mean, we've got to make sure that we win our gaps, and you take the proper steps. It's little things like that make the difference in whether a play pops for 20 yards. And there's a couple things, whether we fit right in the secondary or we leverage our gap, you know, up front. I mean, that's just the nature of the game with spread offense, you know. But we are a gap control defense, and you know, if the ball pops, then that means somebody's busted. You know what I mean? And that's the disappointing thing.
But I think people expect when you come out of a bye week that there's going to be a lot of improvements, a lot of things addressed that are better. Where would you say the team's psyche is after the way this
we'll
went?
find out this week. You know, I thought we had a great couple of weeks of practice. I really did. I mean, I thought, to be honest with you, I thought both sides of the ball really got after it. You know what I mean? And we emphasized the first couple practices getting back to fundamentals and really working some of those younger guys. We were talking like those defensive linemen. And I saw big improvements. And but we got to go back to work and make sure that they understand that you got to be consistently good. We can't be like this. You know what I mean? And it goes back to consistency in our practice habits in everything we do. And, you know, they got to understand that there's a fine line at this level in winning and losing, you know, and it could just be a handful of plays. And that's really about what it was tonight when it's all said and done. It was a handful of plays. They can move it up and down the field on, you know, 3 or 4 yard routes, and we'll tackle it and get in some situations. But the explosive plays, those are what drive you nuts, and when they can be avoided, you know, when it's all said and done. That's the part that's frustrating.
You've been around this game a long time, Coach. What is the proper response for the coaching staff and the players after a game like this one?
Well, obviously, I hope there's disappointment. I hope there's disappointment, more importantly, from our players. They're the ones that obviously put in a lot of work. I mean, obviously our staff does too, don't get me wrong. But you want them to hurt. And you want them, you know, you're going to go through, and even, you know, we've had a lot of success here, but it didn't start out that way. You know, we had to come in and roll our sleeves up and go to work every day and fight through some really tough times. And when there were naysayers and people, questioning what you do, but we believed in what we can do, and I believe in what we do right now, what we have here, the staff and the people here. We just got to be consistent in what we do. I mean, we've proven, this staff has proven what you can do when guys execute, and that's what's exciting. But we just got to roll our sleeves up. You can't, in today's world, you got to block out the social media. You got to block out all those things, the chat lines, all that stuff that goes on out there. And the only people that can control what we control is us. And that's really what we're going to do. And we're going to go back and tomorrow, and the players are off. We're going to go back as a staff, but we're going to come back Sunday. We're going to roll our sleeves up and go to work. And we're going to be demanding, and we're going to have high expectations of our kids to uphold what our expectations are. And you know, and that's the bottom line.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank y'all.
Coach said you've been dealing with some health issues as well. How's the shoulder, and did it get even more dinged up tonight?
No, I've been doing a lot of strengthening, so just trying to get it back to 100%. So it's feeling pretty good.
And then what was your view of what happened on the exchange with you and Keyshawn there?
As a quarterback, I take full responsibility on not securing the handoff. So we just try to move forward.
Coach said he kind of came into the game with a plan to play both of you. At what point, you and Willis, at what point in the week did you know you were going to at least get some playing time?
At the beginning of the week, we always come in with the mindset of playing, so nothing really changed. We just came in prepared as a starter. Everyone in the room does, so anyone's ready to go.
And how disappointed were you that you couldn't kind of ignite, this was one of your first chances for kind of extended playing time in a competitive game. How do you kind of view it as just, fell short obviously with the fumble, and then the second drive didn't go anywhere. How do you kind of grade yourself? What do you kind of view your performance as?
I feel like I got a lot of work to do. Just try to get better day by day, and whatever the team needs me to do, that's what I'll do in order to win.
And then it seems like teams come out of a bye week with a lot of expectations for big improvement. Where's the kind of psyche in the locker room after the way this went?
The vibe in the locker room is just everyone wants to get better, and keeping a positive attitude and keeping our head down and working hard.
You come in the game in the second quarter, you go out. You come in the game in the third quarter, you go out. You come in the game in the fourth quarter, and you go out. Is there a part of you at all that questions what your role is right now?
No, sir. I'm always ready to play. So whatever the team needs, that's what I'll do.
They stuffed you guys on the 4th and 1. Anything you could have done differently on that play? I mean, they were bringing a lot of guys. How tough is that when they kind of, they're going to lock on you knowing you're a guy that can move? What can you do in that play? What did you see?
It was a tough look. Could have stayed a little tighter to the guard and the A-gap. And, just try to move forward.
Any other questions for Hendon? Okay, thank you very much.
obviously got the ice on your shoulder. How tough was it to kind of got it through that game? And are you still in a lot of pain? You know, what's your kind of physical status right now?
I wouldn't say I'm in a lot of pain. Every day I've been working to get better, get back right to where I once was. And, you know, my brother's been supporting me on the D-line, defense, even on the offense, they've been supporting me. So it feels good to actually be back out there with my boys, for real.
Taiwan, you guys really controlled things defensively in that first quarter. They have the fumble and they score right away, and then things kind of turned there. What do you think was the biggest reason why it turned so quickly?
I just say they out-executed us. Defensively, yeah, we had a couple of drives where we stopped them early, but we didn't execute a lot on later on in that drive. And I mean, obviously, it just kept rolling and rolling to where they ultimately outperformed us and worked harder than us.
After that fumble and then you guys allowed the quick touchdown, what was the mood like for the defense? Do you feel, you know, Coach Foster said you guys didn't handle adversity very well. Did you feel the mood change? What was your kind of impression kind of on the sidelines, how you guys reacted?
It was early, so the mood didn't really change. Obviously, like, it's tough just to going from you just going out there and stopping them, the quick turnover and you having to be out there, tired legs, really, I would say. I wouldn't say that wasn't really when we felt like the tide started to change in the game. I wouldn't say that moment was.
Was it the gadget play when the receiver threw the pass back to the tailback? Is that where you think maybe it started to get away from y'all?
I wouldn't say it started to get away from us. We continued to play hard. I would say that it was a wrinkle that we didn't see, and obviously that's why he was so wide open, a little double pass. And I wouldn't say we really didn't go out there and play with our heads down. I would say obviously when it became a point in time where you see the score was really out of hand, like we obviously knew like we got one next week, so let's finish this one out strong.
And Bud also talked about just fundamental gap control, setting the two long runs for touchdown. What was your view of just the breakdowns there, just in terms of guys getting in gaps?
But like I said, I feel like they just, at times, we didn't execute our game plan that could have, you know, helped us some more like we were early on in the game. And they were just executing their game plan better than us at a point in time.
This team, you know, Coach Fuente said you guys didn't make adjustments very well in that second half. How tough was that? Was an issue last year as well. How tough is it to do that? And do you think you're any closer? I mean, how are you able to do better at that after the half?
Well, really, it's more of like adjustments is, you know, it's like a mental thing, and like you've been practicing, working on some all this week. And then in the game, they're doing something different that you haven't seen. And, like, yeah, we got to be able to handle that and make adjustments. And sometimes it's a little bit harder when, you know, they're doing some things like we probably haven't practiced or we haven't seen. So,
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
thank you guys. Y'all have a good one.
We'll have Deshaun do this next. Microphones, we can start with Deshaun.
You guys really focused on trying to get the run game going and couldn't really, you know, you had the big run, but what's kind of been, where do you look at and what do you, have you pinpointed kind of what the issues are playing the run game in general now through 4 weeks of the season?
I mean, not really. I try to let the coaches do their jobs, honestly. I mean, that might be a better question for, like, you know, one of the coaches.
Deshaun, I'm curious, you know, coming off the open week like that, what is the mood of the team and sort of the coaches' messaging after having a performance like this?
After?
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I mean, we still have another game to play. We still have a long season to play. I mean, we can't focus on one game. This game is behind us. I mean, it sucks. You know, we're not happy about it. We prepared. We had a great week of practice. You know, it didn't go as planned. It didn't go our way. Now we got to focus on the next game.
Raise your hands to the microphones. Questions for Deshaun? Anything else? Andy?
You did have that 45-yard run, I think. I think it was a career long for you. What did you see on that play that kind of broke it open there?
I mean, I just pretty much stuck to my assignment, my alignment assignment technique. I saw the pullers. They pretty much did what I expected them to do. They didn't kick out. I mean, well, Dalton kicked out, and then I saw the hole open up backside, so I just kind of cut the ball back, like A gap, B gap, and just went back door.
You guys are relying on a really young offensive line. What have you kind of taught? Have you been kind of in constant communication with them as the kind of game goes on? What's that talk back and forth, especially when the running game's struggling a little bit? I mean, do you talk to them? What's kind of that, during the game, what's that like?
Yeah, for sure. During the game, while we're playing, like right after a play, we'll give each other feedback, or, if we go to the sideline, I'll talk to them, I'll let them know what I see, and they'll tell me what they see, and then I'll tell them what I expect for them to do on certain situations, and then we kind of try to adjust from there.
Anything else for Deshaun? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
starter. We'll start with Mike.
Can you kind of take us into the injury situation, kind of going back before the season, the hamstring and missing Boston College and the setback, what kind of happened, and did you feel 100% now?
Yeah, I'm 100% now. Just something I was dealing with. Hamstring, you all know. Just trying to work back. I'm just grateful to be back now, my teammates.
Raise your hands. We'll do the microphones. Questions? Go ahead, Andy.
David, what is just sort of not clicking with this offense right now, do you think?
I'm not sure. All I try to do is, continue to encourage when I'm on and off the field and run the plays that they call. I'm not sure what it is. It's not really up for me to decide. I just do what I'm told to do and try to execute to my best ability.
You get that touchdown late. What did you kind of talk? Did you talk to Ryan at all? I mean, obviously, he switched quarterbacks a couple of times. What was his attitude like, and what do you kind of see from him? With the offense kind of struggling a little bit.
Touchdown was cool, but we lost. So, it doesn't really matter. But it did feel good. Like you said, kind of to have a positive play in the midst of everything, and so. That was good reinforcement, but at the end of the day, you got to make more plays.
Is that challenging for a receiver when you're kind of rotating quarterbacks back and forth? Not just for you in particular, but for the whole receiver core as a whole?
No, I don't think it's challenging because we're pretty comfortable with all the quarterbacks, just the way the practice works. And so, we're liable to take a rep from anyone in practice, so we're pretty comfortable with everybody.
You got flagged for that illegal block also. Did you know that one was coming when you threw that block, or
yeah,
were
that
you
was
just
on
hoping
me.
they didn't catch it?
Yeah, that was on me. It's kind of just like my natural instinct. We've been coached up not to do that, but because of the new rule change, but natural instinct in the midst of the game, it was just like, but that was on me. Yep.
A couple of the younger receivers, Trey and somebody else, talked about how you texted them throughout as you missed time and kind of gave them encouragement. What's that relationship like, and how much did they help you and you helped them kind of as you weren't able to get on the field these last couple of weeks?
It's just a family relationship. Like, I look at them as my brothers. So, whether I'm playing or not doesn't change our relationship, So I'll still be there, support and encourage them and text them about anything, tips. Whatever I see on film or, whatever it is, I still try to be there and be with them if I'm not physically there.
Do you have anything else for them? Go on.
I know you said you're 100%, you're ready to go, but I think we all know about hamstrings and the fact that they can kind of mess with your mind a little bit. Are you still in a mode where you're like, I hope it doesn't grab now, or is there you kind of past that point where you feel like it's going to grab just at a moment's notice?
I feel like I'm way past that point. Coach Hilgard and the stream staff did a great job, put me in those situations so that, we could test it out and we could see, if I can open up and run full speed. So I have that comfortability in my mind, whereas though it's not my first time trying to open up and run when I get in that situation in the game. I've already done it. So I'm comfortable moving past the hamstring, God willing, I stay healthy the rest of the season.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
You had mentioned earlier in the week you were ready to go, but Coach said that his plan was to kind of play both of you. Did you kind of feel physically that you weren't 100% by the end of the week, and you were comfortable with that game plan of him going with both you and Hendon today?
Health-wise, I felt fine. I don't know. I trust what the coaches are doing for the team, and that's all I can do. Just do my job.
Ryan, you guys had pretty good field position early in the game. Had that drive where you're down inside the 5 and have to settle for a field goal there. Did you feel like that was a missed opportunity early to kind of, get the momentum going in this game?
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity. We're inside the 5-yard line. You should score every time. Just got to be better as a team.
Mike.
The passing game was supposed to be, you know, one of the strengths of this team, and just haven't been able to get it going all year in 4 games. Can you pinpoint what the issue is? I mean, when you look at your body of work and the offense's body of work, do you get a sense of what's wrong?
No, I don't know.
Anything else for Ryan? Okay, thank you.